Hi, Naveen. Naveen, am I audible?
Yes, yes. I think voice is pretty clear.
Yeah. So let's start, and you can take care of the people who are joining for admit. Naveen.
Yes, Anubhav.
Yeah, yeah.
I can admit the people, whoever it comes.
Sure, sure. Thank you. So hi, good morning, everyone. So thanks again for coming on the Saturday morning and joining for our session. So this session is, although we call it as anti-agile pattern, and so I've named it as anti-pattern because we know we are going to talk about our agile area, and I have not specifically mentioned it to is it anti-scrum pattern or anti-kanban pattern. So whatever the experience and the learnings I have observed, learned, and gathered in my working experiences, so I've tried to correlate with that, as well as also I've done some research, figure out what exactly the anti-pattern exists globally, and somewhere we are similar and same. How does the anti-pattern happening in the industry? So this is just a brief as a ideal way to represent. So I'm just moving ahead. So
Uh, Anubhav, sorry to interrupt. Can you
yeah,
please adjust your mic? Maybe the voice is getting echoing or low.
is it so?
No, now it's fine. Can you just check, adjust once again, please?
Yeah, yeah. It may be because see, I am not connected with the Wi-Fi, because if there is a fluctuation in the power supply, then it may go. So I connected with the dongle.
Okay, okay.
It may be the reason. So sorry to everyone if the voice goes sometimes low. So I'm sorry for that. Okay, so coming back to this. So let me see. I think this is getting recorded. So this is so rather than making a flow from my side, I'm trying to make it as a learning and experience sharing, as well as interactive talk with others also. So let's spend some time to first complete this slide, then we can have an interactive talk where you can ask me questions, or we can talk on those. But try to complete in the span time, because everyone is having their weekend time. So this is just a note. So we always say agile one more time, and let's start. So what is an anti-pattern? So these are the Wikipedia and Google search definitions. But anti-pattern is something which is not following the corrective and preventive measures of the pattern defined. If we see in Hindi, the pattern meaning is dhacha, and so we will see in the followed slide. So we are working for a problem to solve, which is a recurring problem, which is usually ineffective and highly counterproductive. Although in our experiences we figure out, okay, it can be a productive, but let me correlate with one example. If you're going to fix a defect or a bug, so we do not perform, or ideally we do not perform the impact mapping, and one defect closing opens to the different uh, in interfaces integrations. So impact mapping lagging is there. So that is why we all mention it as an anti-pattern. In Hindi, we call it as Virodhi pattern. It because pattern is the word pattern, and if we see the real Hindi meaning, so these are the real Hindi meaning of the pattern: Tarika, Pratiman, Akar, and Dhacha. So people who knows the Hindi, they can easily figure out the. So I always focus to go with the dictionary and the basics to understand what exactly the word real mean, rather than flowing with the jargons. So in this session, we are going to talk about the anti-agile pattern, but the anti-pattern happens in our software engagement, which is for the development anti-pattern, architecture anti-patterns, as well as the project management anti-pattern. This we may take some time later, how and what we can look for this. So this session is to brush up our interactive talk. we all know what is Scrum. We all know what is Agile. We all know we all are practicing from long time. But this is just a revision session where we can figure out, got to know, and talk more. This is my famous golden circle. So whenever we figure out any problem, always work from the why to what, not to what to why. And if we add two more circles on this, then it will be where and who. So rather than focusing on who, let's start from why, then we should go towards the who. So these are the areas we are going to discuss on this. So we will talk about the anti-patterns of the product owner, Scrum Master, backlog and refinement, sprint, and all those. So we all know everything. It's just a brush up session. So let's start with our hotcake Scrum Master. Hello. Are you losing me again? Hello.
No, go. You go.
Okay. Thank you. So let's start with our hotcake Scrum Master. So before we go for the Scrum Master anti-pattern, what I have observed in my experiences as well as in my study, Scrum Master turns toward the Scrum Mom. So so let's figure out first what is about the anti-pattern of the Scrum Mom. So we would have already experienced and observed that the Scrum, so I will not use the term always the Scrum Mom, the Scrum Master deals with all the impediments personally rather than allowing the team members to act on it. So he or she tries to be a good act to make the deliverables on time, but rather than being a spoon feeding, he should, because we know Scrum Master is a coach, so he should go and at least go and talk with the provoking questions which will help the person to work on that, as well as there should be acceptance also required from our team side that okay, if someone is coming and asking many questions, then we should think for that question rather than we all are puzzled. Okay, he's not helping me, he is not assisting me. So rather than being a judgmental, let's we being analytical first. Then many times also we observe that okay, we are not getting the correct feedback, or we are not getting the negative feedbacks because the filters are done by the Scrum Master or the hierarchical people who does not give you the real feedback. But we should always give the real feedback, what is the positive and the negative stocks is happening. And we have already discussed in 2 points that we are not challenging the team. Challenging the team does not mean that we are going and behind the team. Challenging the team means it comes with a understanding, it comes with a thought, okay, how we can challenge to a team, what are the ways we can challenge, rather than working on clean code, why we cannot work on lean code. So we can talk on this later, but there is a thought behind a clean code and lean code. So these kind of challenges can be given. So it's good that Scrum Master prevents from the team from the failure, but it should not be always. Let team also learn from the failures. So I have also done this, so a couple of times, but I need the urgency. I can understand the urgency. Okay, when deliverable is pending or when some business need is needed, then we can go and assist, get the things done, conflict resolutions, talking, even assisting as a tester, UAT and all those. So I have also done this, but we should not do this always. So this is one of the learning from my experiences. And this is the best, which I always say we should not have. So Scrum Mom says, this is my team and I like everyone, but one will be among who is a favorite. So see, this is also an anti-pattern. We cannot be a bias to one person. And couple of times I have also heard that people say this is right or wrong, it's my team. So am I following the Scrum? I'm following my version of a Scrum. Whatever I'm following, it's my team. So the brief consolidation is a Scrum Master, good intention. So these all points what we have talked is towards a good intention, towards making a team building, making the business deliverables on time, getting things without any impediments. that make Scrum Master as an impediment for the team progress, because team started not thinking, team started not doing by anything. For everything they will go and talk to the Scrum Master and say, okay, can you give me this? So let's not be in that phase. It can, so if we see the graph of teaching to coaching, so can be done for the initial phases but not gradually. Now we are coming to the Scrum Master anti-pattern. So people write their Scrum Master, people say we are Scrum Master, but when we go and observe, then we see that, okay, my Scrum Master has never been on Scrum team and he's saying, okay, I'm a Scrum Master. When we go and talk about this extreme programming or some other frameworks, he says, I don't know. He or she, it can be anyone. And I have also figured out, experiencing in my working areas as well as talking to many people, they say, okay, testing should be a separate activities. Then I go and ask them why you cannot have a parallel testing, why you cannot have a pair programming. So those kind of questions we should go and ask. So, and if team come back and talk about the story point, why we want the story point, what are the ways of story point. So there are many discussions we had in our group chats. Okay, why we cannot use the normal story points, why we can use only the Fibonacci series. So a Scrum Master has to learn to know, to go and talk to the team, to go and talk to even to the educating customers. Many times you have to go and educate to the customers also. Okay, why we need this. So those kind of information we should know with a control where we can go and talk with the efficacy. And so I'm using here the term Scrum and the SDM. So SDM, I'm taking this term from the Kanban. So if you go and ask, okay, why we are using Scrum or why we are using Kanban? So we should not say this is, we should know what to say to the team. Okay, why we are using, a new member has joined to our organization or to our project. And he curiosity based ask a question, okay, why we are using Scrum and why we are using Kanban, or may not the reverse of the questions. And the worst part, I have also observed and experienced that Scrum Master says, okay, this is the adapted process. It means this is the proven process and we have to follow it from day one. We should not do that. It can be a proven process for the X and Y team, but it cannot be the same for the Z team. It's not because the team members are different, it's because the business flow of the expectation from the customers can be different. So coming back to the other points, many times the SM goes and talk to the senior folks. So I mentioned the CEO here, but if they go and talk to the senior folks, talk about the release plan and come with a due date. Although they call it as a forecasted date, but the forecasted date comes as a committed date. And SM is allowing so I'm using the VP marketing, but they're allowing the different people to come and talk directly to the team and interfere in the work, which should not be happened. He is an impediment. He is an impediment clearer person. He has to clear the impediment, not to block the impediments. And this is happening. So this is with the consolidation with friends working in big MNCs. So I'm not pointing to them, but this is what I have experienced and observed while talking to them. So the pattern followed is that they go and directly demonstrates in a separate meeting, in a separate call to the customers, and the team members are not present. Team members cannot find the SMs when required and figure out that, okay, he is busy in some other status meeting or maybe some meeting with the senior folks. SM does not understand what the team is working on. So I mentioned it as what I'm working on, but team is working on. So so ideally the market demands that he should be a technical guy, so we'll not debate on that. But yes, SM should be a techno-functional to at least understand what a team is working on. I cannot be coding, but I should be aware with the logics what I am doing. The mathematics logic remains same. And this has also happened in few times when product owner is not available. So he sits in the shoes of the product owner and perform the planning meeting. Many times we have technical leads or technical managers who are working as Scrum Masters, and they are busy in writing code. So these all points what we are talking will lead to anti-pattern behavior. So anti-pattern is not only what we are talking from the agile side, it's from the side where our complete values goes out: focus, transparency, balance. These all values are not getting collaboration. These all are not meeting if we take it from Kanban or if we take it from Scrum or from other framework. All frameworks talk on the same areas, but the jargons may be different. And many times we have seen that they never socialize, so they only work in the official timings. They don't go with us on the lunch break, snacks, tea time, or smoke time, whatever. So we should socialize, and socialize, when we do socialization, it should not always be official related. So, and if you make this correlation with the team dysfunction help us, if we follow that pyramid, we should socialize. As some gets impatient when we make decision ourselves. So when we say, one side we say, okay, you are a self-organized team, self-disciplined team, and another side, if a team is taking a decision by performing all the impact mapping, doing all the consequences, understanding all the consequences, then you should not be impatient. You should respect that. This is the best thing. SM runs the daily Scrum. Why? SM should be there. So this, if we see these all items, I'm not advocating PSM, but yeah, many answers will meet to the PSM one area. So SM runs the daily Scrum. It should not be. The person should always be there to teach and coach people how we can complete things in the defined time box. SM should not assign tasks. The task should be taken by the team by itself. SM is a delivery or project manager. And so when we see, so I'm correlating this to the Scrum Master anti-pattern, but yes, of course, if this kind of things are happening, then team should come and say, hey boss, can you allow me to do this? This is my area to do this. So it's a two-way relationship, two-way flow. And many times we have seen, okay, if you want to make a delivery, then they say, okay, leave this testing for the next sprint, not being transparent. So I have experienced this many times, that we are not transparently updating the customers or the business folks from the other part, and we go on the last day or on the review say that, okay, this is not happening or this is not happening. Do not give importance for DOR and DOD. They are afraid to update senior folks. So you being an impediment clearing person, how you should not be afraid. But of course, there is a way to say no. We should learn how to say no. This is also, I have experience with few of my the Scrum Masters, I could say so-called Scrum Masters. So they say, okay, we are using our own version of Scrum. Scrum has its own guidelines. So we are using our own guidelines. We will not go with the agreed coding guidelines. So when we are talking about the technical excellence has a base ladder of the coding guidelines. Then only we have the clean code, lean code, and other practices like TDD, BDD, and ATDD kind of thing. My SM interaction call with stakeholders alone for identification and clarification. This is the biggest and miserable area I have also experienced it. No, allow team to talk. Allowing team to talk does not mean that we are giving a liberty to team to go and talk, whatever. Go and talk with the clarifications. Go and talk for the identifications. It will help team to be groomed to talk. It will help them to move out of the dependency or move out of the hand holding. So those kind will help them also. And the metrics, of course, we should go and ask the team. I have observed, I always go and request my team members, please understand the metrics. Metrics will help you when you grow in your ladder, when you go to the decision making authorities. These kind of metrics will help you to understand. Start understanding the metrics. So it's not about the ASM only, it's about the team also to understand the basic metrics what we have, to understand what the metrics is about. So now coming back to the product owner side, so these all are the experiences what we are creating here. So many times we have figured out that there is no product owner for one team or a single team. Many times we got to figure out interference with the team on daily work. So I will not say use the specific term as product owner here. So many times we have seen that the people from the customer side, they come daily with the interference. What is happening? What is the task you're working? What are the subtasks you're working? Those are not my areas. Those are not your areas. Those are the areas of the team. It's not the area of the PO and this customer to go and verify, okay, what you are working, what you're not working. We should be focused. If me being a PO, I'm not getting any clarification questions from the team, then I will be surprised. Why? Then I will go and talk to the team why it is happening. But I have to wait for some days and some sprints to understand and analyze the behavior of the team. Oh, many times we would have observed that the product owner is underpowered and does not act as the guard of the backlog. Many times we see that, okay, many things are coming in the backlog, landing. It may be a sales driven, it can be a marketing driven. So product owner is a person who, if we segregate, so he is the success owner for the product as well as the owner. Many times we have seen that PO estimates to set the deadline. So in this case, a PO should learn on the metrics of the predictability, and those things we have to learn from the lead time and the cycle time. So PO or as well as the SM, they have to interact together. SM has to coach PO. Some ways we have to figure out how we are going to have the deadline or the demos for the client. A PO has too many teams and is so busy. So less talks about it. So we can go with that concept. How one PO can take how many teams and the team members, and how we can coordinate with the same product backlog. Many times we would have also observed that there are many reasons. So one is the time difference, the geographic time difference, as well as he or she is busy in spending a lot of time meeting with the clients. If the PO is spending a lot of time meeting with the clients, it's good, but it should not be impacting the requirement and the clarification required for the team. We should have a common agreed time, or we can use the term distributed located time, favoring both side one kind of basis, where sometimes we can adjust our time, the geographic time. Sometimes you should adjust your geographic time to work on the clarification and getting the right update, what is going to be done. PO is ready to sacrifice quality. This is the hardest area where PO says, okay, ship this to appreciate and to get appreciations from the customers, but the quality is leading. So this kind of behavior will lead towards the technical depth. And being a PO does not know how to work for the prioritization techniques. So we have already discussed on the prioritization techniques in the last webinar. Me being a PO, I should know what are the go-to-market updates. If a PO does not know what is go-to-market update, then he has to go and talk to the business. He has to go and talk to the relevant product managers, get knowledge what exactly they are doing for that. If a PO does not know the top 5 or 10 priorities and why, then a PO has to learn. And many times we have seen a PO say, I'm not the part of the team, but we have to go and learn the basics of the Scrum team. And what does the Scrum team say? It consists of PO, SM, and Dev. Many times I have also observed a PO from the other side. He's a person from the technical background, and rather than talking on the technical counterparts, he becomes the technical architect. So me being a PO, I should know what are my roles and the KRA's areas. Of course, on the added values, you can assist him, but do not interfere. If something is going wrong, then highlight it, take to a right level, but do not interfere. Many times now it's emerging in the business area that okay, I am the business side of the person and I'm also performing a role of PO, but my job is not to work for the backlog and the user stories, and they will pass and delegate it to the SM and dev team. Then this is also an anti-pattern. You write, ask your PO to write. We can do the refinement. We can do the refinement by writing and get it reviewed and approved by you. But you have to initiate the writing first. And so many times PO is confusing the product owner role with Scrum Master. So here it means that, so me being a PO, I'm not getting a good support from my Scrum Master. Reasons can be anything. And I started working as product owner as well as a Scrum Master both. We should not do that. Either we should ask the respective team or the respective persons to, can you please work for something for the Scrum Master to make him or her upgraded, or we can go and, if you want the transparency, we go and talk directly and say, okay, can you let me a new person with the strong Scrum Master role? And this is the favorite, that's why I mentioned favorite. Product owner expects a staged commitment, because in their experience they always come and say, hey man, this will not take this much time to be built. We should not do that. We should respect the time which we are getting, the estimation, the relative estimates, or the time, whatever the ways the team is giving. We should respect that. Of course, team should also respect that we should not unnecessarily buy out more timings. Let's be perfect. Let's be with the good time. Are you? Am I audible, Naveen, till now?
Anubhav, go ahead. It's voice clear.
Okay, thank you. So, and try to work as a product owner. So we have. So I have experience. So one, it was one of the travel and hospitality engagement, and the person was with the top designation, and he, although he said I'm a product owner, but he was not a product owner. So he may be good in his business, he may be good in his or her department or the management acts, but you are not the person of the PO. So we should know where to catch and figure out, okay, who is the right person to work for. Many times PO thinks SM is just a project manager role, whose role is to pester, means the NOI with asking updates. So product owner also has to go through the learnings, study, as well as the coaching session, what exactly each roles make sense in the behavior of the deliverables. They should know and respect each roles. Now coming back to, now I'm coming towards um, the user story. So this we might be talking in our next webinar, but making a conclusion from here. So many times PO says, over the last months I've been working and we are not getting so many things delivered fast, and I'm not happy with your approaches. Why? So he comes with why. So rather than that, let's understand first, being a team. So here a team and Scrum Masters to understand, okay, why it is happening. When we go dig and figure out, so we would have seen that, okay, PO would have written the user story not in a vertical slicing, but in a horizontal slicing. So this we can talk there, but okay. So if we want to correlate this, so it will have a maximum dependency. Each story is having a dependency to each other. If you will not close one story, you won't be able to open and work for the next story. So when we write a story, it should be a minimal working software to be getting developed. Don't write the complete epic for that, or the story, a complete 2-3 stories combination for that. So product owner should also learn here how to write a user story. What are the ways of the splitting user stories? How we can define user story as a technical user story, non-functional user story, functional user stories, intangible user stories. So they should also learn, and these learnings by come by self-awareness, self-learning, talking to Scrum Master, talking to team. So these are the ways we can figure out what to be done for a good product development. And this is the projection of the burn up. So we know the burn down usually, but a product owner should work on the burn up chart. Burn up chart comes with the total work line as well as the work completed. So this is the projection of our work. Okay, and this is the time, and this is the meeting place where your defined work gets met to the working area. So maybe sometimes we are ahead of the schedule, sometimes we will be behind of the schedules. So this we can take in our next webinar. So these are the areas. So this can be taken not only at the sprint level or the iteration level. So I'm including both the Scrum side as well as the Kanban side. But this can be, because if you see here the story points are up to 32 or 33. Here the story points up to 100, because we are working for a long iterations and we have planned to go with the 100 or 120 kind of release, the story point release. So this we can talk later, but yes, being a product owner, I should also know to project this kind of information to the team as well as my stakeholders to let them know what exactly is happening. Now, coming back for the product backlog and the refinement anti-pattern. So one part we have already discussed previously, that the stories has to be defined in a way that it should follow the invest model. The product owner should learn what is the invest model and how the invest model is getting implemented. So it's not only the part of the product owner, it should also be the part of the team to go talk about the invest model, how we should. So if let's say as an example 25 5 into 5 is the calculation of that. So if I go with the 18, so I'm going with around I think 17%, 70%. So what is the excellence bar we want to keep? If we want to keep 85% or 90%, then the 18 will go to 21 or 22. So minimum the number of amount we should receive for each story, that depends on the estimation of the story. So PBL and refinement anti-pattern. Many times we have seen in our talk to the customers, talk to the management, and even in the JD, 100% in advance, or maybe 6 to 9 months, 1 year in the issues inventory available with us, which is totally a dumb idea to work for. How we can predict what business is going to demand? So I'm not considering any B2C, B2B or B2B2C model here, but how we know that what is going to be the highest valuable to be developed and delivered after 2 months. In the business, the marketing team or the product team can make a change in that. Oversized. So ideally, a story, with my experiences, a story has to be developed in a way that it should not take more than 2 to 3 days with complete flow cycle. When I say flow cycle, starting from development and closing by testing. So we have to work in that smaller level. I will not say the granular level. Granular level is also one of the anti-pattern. We should not go at that low level, but the smaller level, the smallest story to be developed and delivered. But we would have seen that a story is not a story. It's maybe like an epic, which takes 2 to 4 sprints to develop and deliver. It's the job of the product owner to take care of the product backlog health. If he or she is not working to get the outdated issues out of the backlog, then we will have a problem when we go and work with the lead time. So there is 2 ways. We directly go and dump ideas in the backlog. Instead of that, work with the collaboration tools like Confluence, where until unless if your pointers are still in idea and analysis talk, do not create the lead time. So these are the anti-patterns which POs to learn. They want everything to be estimated. We should go and ask them why you want every task and subtask to be estimated. If you are working with a relative estimation, maybe a story points, maybe an hours. If you are working with that, we should go and ask why you want all the estimations. A PO should never miss the acceptance criterion. If any story is missing this acceptance criterion, then PO to come and ask, okay, this is missing this acceptance criterion. Eventually, the team also should not accept the story with the missing acceptance criterion. Many times we would have seen that no update more than a title. So we just go and create, okay, API to be built up. Why you need an API to be a story? There is a way to work for the API story. Issues too detailed. Uh, so when a PO writes, of course we need some details. I will not deny on the fact that we are working on two different locations, so we need some information. So this will come as a part of story writing and a storytelling. This we will take in our next session. So we should write the amount of information that comes as a story writing. It does not comes as a page writing. So a PO should know what is the difference between a story writing and a page writing. Neither themes or nor epics. So a story is written and it's not correlating to any epic, or is not related to any epic or themes. So some tools does not have the themes with them. They have only the epics. But of course, as an example, I want to log into my application and log in with all social media, Oracle identity, AD, etc., etc. So it cannot be one story. It should be meeting to the epic. So your epic is your login. Define your social media, LinkedIn, etc., etc., with each individual story, and follow the concept. User story is a small working software being developed and delivered. Roadmap. So ideally we go and not ideally, on a normal life we see that things are getting dumped in the product backlog, but a product owner has to come and define the backlog with the priorities which is meeting to the roadmap. Many times we would have seen a roadmap is not there. If any product, it can be a consulting or it can be a product domain, if any product is getting developed without a roadmap, then there is a gap. We should know what is the roadmap of our business. Business roadmap is getting converted to the product roadmap. Many times roadmap is kept secret. It's not even coming to team. The team who is working on the roadmap, he is coming with a date. Okay, and that dates always get postponed. Okay, now we are going live in November, and in after November we came to know, okay, we are going live in June. So this should not be done. So you should believe and trust your team. If you give the right date, team will start more actively and with the more collaboration and support. If we shuffle the dates, then team understand, okay, he is coming just with a date, and that date does not have any meaning. So team will start working in the same pattern. Again, we are raising to an anti-pattern towards the team. Part-time PO. So I'm not saying a PO who is not associated with the team, but yeah, of course, he is not working on a daily or maybe 2 to 3 times in a day for a PBL, the product backlog. So if you go and see the issue metrics created, this is one of the plugin in Jira. I'm just focusing from the Jira side. So it gives you a calendar view where you can see, okay, all tickets are getting created on the same day. It means this metrics gives you an understanding that, okay, product owner is working on this the same date only, or one date only. It should not be like that. Do not hold the inventory with you. Please pass the inventory. It will help you to make the refinement session with the team when you're going to happen. Dominating PO. We would have observed many times we have dominating POs. Invest model, we have already discussed that he does not know invest model, or he does not know how to apply the invest model. Does not talk about the technical depths. So here I will not say only about the sorry, I will not say it's only about the PO who is not talking. Even team is also not talking. Why we are overburdening ourselves? I know. So let's not get the real time here, but we have to get some context from here for our real time engagements. So We should talk about the technical depths. We have many things missing from the uh, previous sprint or the iterations, and if we perform a relative estimate only for um, the development area, then where the fixing areas and the testing areas goes off. So those kind of areas, the code refactoring, of course, we talk about lean code, but going to the lean code will take some time and maturity required for the complete ecosystem to work on that. So those are the areas we should always consider. No time for the refinement. So we don't have the backlog refinement sessions. Why we should not have the backlog refinement sessions? Go and talk. Many times observe sprint planning, it's for 4 hours. Why we should have the refinement session? Then there are the ways. If I correlate with the PSM, I'll not say the professional Scrum Master, but I'll say the professional Scrum working world. So where, okay, you can decrease in sprint planning but increase the refinement session, because refinement sessions are the main area where we discuss more. But these all are the experimented, and we should not break the framework rules but customize with the business need. Too many refinement sessions, many times we have seen, okay, instead of having one time refinement session for a long time, we will have 2 to 3, because many excuses from the PO side as well as the team side also. We cannot sit for this long time, we cannot stretch for this, and this is hampering our work. No, we should understand each ceremony, each meeting has its own value, and we should understand why we need this meeting, rather than saying, okay, why we don't need this meeting. We are already mature to understand why we need this meeting. No DOR. If any story is not meeting the DOR category, please do not accept that. And we should go and ask always to our product owners, what is the product vision? A product owner should be aware with the product vision. If he is not, then he should go and do his homework first. So this till now we have talked about the Scrum Master, Scrum Mom, and the PO, and the product backlog and the refinement. Now we are moving towards the anti-pattern of the sprint. So either we have a not present or absent POs. So once we are done with the sprint planning, a PO should not assume that everything is cleared or clarified. He should be available with the team on a agreed time meeting to both sides of the time zone. He should be there. He or she should be there to assist and clarify things. Let not allow the team to assume, because we are in a good talk and we know what he is thinking. We should not go in the brain of other person. Do not allow to assume things. Assumption leads to the anti-pattern. So let's talk more. The talk more can be a different. It can be in a real world scenario. It can be a face to face. It can be with the video base. It can be with the chat. It can be with the emails. But the response time should be faster and quicker. We should not wait for 24 hours for a response. Misuse of the sprint cancellation. So this I have not seen any PO canceling the meeting, but not canceling the sprint, but we should cancel the sprint also, but not every time. So it should be in a way that, okay, if we are meeting 60%, 70%, there should be a hidden trial calculating percentage where we can say, okay, when to cancel the sprint, when not to cancel the sprint. But the misuse should not be there. So if things are not getting completed, then go and sit with the team, means go and interact with the team, figure out what valuables or what items or the functionalities we can able to develop and deliver. Rather, cancellation is the easiest part. Okay, we are canceling and moving to the next sprint. That is the easiest way to do so, but we should not do that. PO stick to a story. So when we are doing a backlog refinement, and he unnecessarily increases the scope of the story after it is a part of the SPBL. So we are done with the refinement, and once the refinement is done and sprint planning is done and it comes to the sprint backlog, then also it's coming with increasing the scope of the story. No, we should not do that. There is an option of call as improvement. It's all given by the tool. Ideally, we should not call everything as an improvement. If a new requirement is a new requirement, let's call it as a new requirement. But if you want to improve anything, do not force or insist to the team. Park it in the backlog. Keep it at the highest priority. If time permits and if the capacity is available, team knows what needs to be done. Let them know. They will pick it up and support your work to be done. So having an improvement issues or the tickets will help us to understand the pattern of the backlogs getting created. These all are the areas where a PO also has to learn how many improvements I am creating. So it's not about that, okay, I'm getting the informations at the last one from the client. This is a learning for me being as a PO, how I can improvise myself to get the right information at the right time from the customer. This is my the bread and butter, and I should be enough mature and smart to get the details from the customer. Delaying PO. So we would have seen many POs or the customers, they are not accepting the stories or the consecutive story. They will say, I will come after 15 days or 10 days, whatever the sprint length. So why you say, okay, this happens only in Kanban? No, our agile principle says earliest way of delivery. So if a team is ready with 4 to 5 out of 10 in 3 to 4 days, go and review it and accept it rather than waiting for 10 more days. It will help you to decrease the cycle time and the lead time. Cycle time and lead time is not dependent on the sprint length or the iteration length. So these all things even team has to understand, as well as the PO also has to understand, business also has to be educated, management also has to be educated, as well as we can easily work on the throughput. How we can figure out the throughput, what is the pattern of the throughput, what is the predictability. This all will help us to understand the metrics and the behavior of the product development, what we are working with the available capacity as of now. Board is not up to date. Either it's a tool or it's a physical whiteboard or blackboard, whatever, board is not getting up to date. We should not do that. We should always respect it. We should always, many times team members says why they work and leave by the evening and go away. Okay, one more thing I'm adding here, I have not added in the slide, that people love to work with the name filters. So me being a PO working, and I will recommend people not to apply the name filters on the tool. It is because allow and give a leeway to the team members to at least see the complete Scrum board or the Kanban board. For looking to their work, they have to come down because it's alphabetically distributed. So they have to come down and see, and allow them to see the complete view. If we give the filter to make the easy way for the team will not go and see any other of the work. They will just click on their name, they will see their area, and they will say, again, we are creating one easiest way for the team to understand how we can do using the filter, and we are again creating an anti-pattern. So we should not have, so it's a recommendation, we should not have the name to be there. Not having the WIP. So when we talk about the WIP, we say it's only for the Kanban. No, it should be for any framework. We should have the limit defined to work for this kind of engagements. So if we are working with 10 items, we should know what should be the flow of our board, and flow of the board should always be directly proportional to the business need. So these all things we should understand when we are designing the board what are the policies required, what are the explicit policies required to move from one lane to another lane. Some tools help with the expedite lane, hold lane, park lane. Some tools does not hold, but we should know how to customize our board with this kind of business needs, and this business needs should be updated and made aware to the for educating customers and educating the management also. So it will take time. We should learn how to educate them, but these are the ways where we can stop getting the anti-pattern. Micromanagement, we should not go and do the micromanagement. When we say one side team is self-organized, self-disciplined, autonomy, so we should not go and micromanage them. But again, here I will point to the way to the team is working. Team should also come and update their board on a regular basis, real-time basis. So I have observed the pattern. He or she has completed the story in the morning. Already it's a part of the testing out, but it's getting updated in the evening when she is leaving. Don't hold the stories for yourself. Let people understand who's sitting in another geographic region or another building or another different locations of the Bangalore.
Anubhav, your voice is missing here.
Oh, is it fine? Is it fine, Naveen?
Yep. Now it's okay.
Okay, so now I was talking about the micromanagement. So we should not do the micromanagement. Let team to perform all the activities they have committed for. However, from the team side also, we should respect and expect from them that, okay, we should not hold stories or my working task. And if I am completing something, I should update my completing task on the real-time basis, because nowadays we are working on a distribute location way, and everything is getting updated in the tools. So real-time informations to be updated, rather than creating a ticket, completing a ticket in the morning and updating in the evening, will make a difference. No retro. Many times we say, why we want a retro, can we have a retro in the next time, we will talk about this thing. We should not do that. And more about the retro we will see in the retro section. Hardening sprint, so we have the terms hardening sprint, integration sprint, and many other jargons are there. We also know the real-time challenges. It will take time for team to get educated and to understand what we should do, what we should not do. But at least we should start with our initiatives where we can not work for the hardening sprint. What is the need of a hardening sprint? So this is again a debatable point, but yeah, of course we should not do that. Goal plating, this is the favorite term which is generated from the PMP. I've written it PMP, but I think it is generated from the BABOK area, the business analysis body of knowledge area. So we should not do the gold plating. We should not unnecessarily increase the scope. I'm not bringing the financial terms here, that we should not give things on free, but we should not unnecessarily increase the scope of the work by adding more and more, which may not have business value also. Or if you go and talk to your a PO, okay, what is the business value? Then PO should be able to rank on the normal cumulative series, the sequential series, 0, 1, 2 to 10. What is the cumulative, the sequential rankings of the business values of the required features or stories. So we should not do the gold plating also. But these are the behaviors we have to understand, and being analytic rather than judgment in the area, and we should know how to work in the engagements. Not even single functionality got delivered at end of the sprint. So this is also one of the best anti-pattern example. Why it happened? It means we have missed a lot of things. What happened in your daily stand-up? What we guys are talking daily stand-up. If after 10 days we are saying we are not able to deliver anything, it means there is a complete lag in the complete system, the engagement system. We should work on that. Variable sprint length. I'm not talking about we should go for a 2 days or 3 days, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but it means that PO or team extends by a couple of days to meet sprint goal. No, we are doing a dumb behavior here. why we want to extend to meet a goal. Let's not work towards the showcase. Let's work towards the outcome. It will help us to predict. It will help us to analyze the metrics, forecast the metrics. Okay, so and forecast the reality why it is required, rather than extending by 2 days. More 2 days is required. We can do the testing. We can do the regression testing and all those. Let's not do that. This is I have taken it from my real-time examples, which we should know how to educate customer as well as how to stop in our area. Many times when you're working with the customers for a long term, let's say 1 year plus, so it creates a comfort situation among all team members and the customers, and it's a very friendly behavior. But customer reaches directly to the dev folks bypassing the PO, SM, everything, or the complete team, and ask for the small task. Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? So there are the possible ways. I can recommend few ways. If you are having a group common chat, request every team members not to interact in a personal individual chat with the customers or your PO or internal PO, external PO, or whomsoever. If you are getting any request, please copy paste in the main group area. It will help us to keep everyone aware something is coming new, or you can directly redirect it to the PO. So these are the ways which we can figure out and stop the anti-pattern. Everything is defect. No, everything cannot be a defect to expedite your work. So again, it's a very vague area, how to say it's a defect, how to say it's not a defect. But yeah, of course, in a very layman, defect is a term which is not meeting to the expected requirement. What is the expected requirement? The expected requirement is what is being defined in the story and accepted as a DOR. If something is coming beyond that, then it is either an improvement or a new requirement. It cannot be a defect if it's not meeting your business need. But we should know again how and what to say and talk to the customers. Delivered Z instead of A. So here, this has happened due to lagging shared understanding, miscommunication, not talking during the sprint, do not have frequent reviews. So something was expected as A and we are delivering as Z. It's a complete gap in the engagement. So we should know. So many times we would say, customer said, why I was not expecting this. So at that time, so instead of being resilient, fighting mode and all those, we should go and say, we should have a data to say, okay, we have not communicated. So 1 or 2 times if we try to reach PO and if he is not turning back, then we ignore that. We should not do that. Let PO also knows his or her accountability and ownership. Let them also know. So these are the ways we can stop the anti-pattern and help the product to grow. So I'm talking about the product. I'm not talking about the team. When I say product, it means the complete things to grow. So now we have completed till sprint anti-pattern. Now we are coming to the anti-pattern for sprint planning. So sprint planning, so I'm not considering here it should be done on the morning, evening. So it's again depends. It should be done on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, how you guys work. But we should focus on the areas where we should not ignore the technical depths. Ideally, we have discussed this, ignoring technical depths. So we plan all the time as a development time. We do not talk about, okay, when we will fix the bug and you want a zero defect deliverable. Many times I have observed customer says, okay, you have committed, then you have to work for this. So we should go and let them know, okay, we cannot take more than 70% or 80% for your development. Other time should go for this kind of behavior. We have a lot of meetings. We have these meetings and we have these discussions. We need some buffer time to work on the defects also. And if let's say we are so mature, we have understood the product well, and we are not having any defects, then customer may ask you question, okay, so how you are going to utilize this 20%. So then the professional Scrum says, okay, if we are having the available capacity, we can pull something new and deliver in that. But that news should be meeting the DOR. It means Now, if we go back to the PO and the product backlog, a product owner should be working daily on the product backlog. So this kind of talk we should have with them. Planning too detailed. So tech folks plan each and everything related to the subtask in the sprint planning only. We should not do that. In the sprint planning, try to understand the business, try to work so with the relative estimates, come to a common relative estimate, understand what are the behaviors, the behavior of the stories, what are the other behaviors of the story, independent or not, what are the dependent stories, how we have to take it up, how we have to work for the pair programming and all those things we have to work rather than defining you the subtask. Too much estimation. Sims focus on self accounting, so we focus on too much estimations. I want to do this, I want to do this. So we should not do that. Let's talk about the story levels, understand what story is talking. If you see, okay, PO is not available again for the next 2 days, try to utilize his time. He is also a busy guy, he is also having his or her own business. They might be working in their engagement, so let's utilize that time. Of course, if we have a BA with us, do not throw everything on the BA. You should also understand what is required from a technical perspective. Let the BA understand the business clarity in the business perspective, but we should understand the business technical understandings also. Too little planning will also make us problematic. So we have already done the refinement, and let's skip the sprint planning. If this happens, then we won't be able to identify the pairing. We won't be able to. So pairing doesn't mean that I'm working A and B is working every time, A and B will work every time. Let's do with the trial and error. Let's work with some other guys also. Those kind of things we have to work here. And no slack time means always we are getting overutilized. So when we have this situation, so this situation relates to the anti-pattern of the stressed commitment. So I'm just mapping how things are getting interconnected, the complete eight behavior of the stock. So when we have less time to support, less time to talk, less time to work, and we are more focused towards only coding, then we will never have the pair programming. We will always think about oneself accountability, and we will figure out, okay, he is or she is always busy. So this depends because the pressure is coming with the overcommitment and the overutilizations. So these all are also the anti-pattern for the sprint planning. We start with the absentees. So we have seen people, I will not comment why they are absent, but yeah, of course, we being a team should respect, we know when our sprint is going to end and when our sprint planning is going to start. So we should respect the ceremonies and respect towards the product development and be in the office. Do not allow people to estimate on their behalf and later make a gap in talk and saying, okay, you have estimated, can you please do this? So those things we should not do. Of course, capacity. So when I say capacity, it's available capacity. We should always make our business and stakeholders updated with this, why we need available capacity. Of course, management is also not ready on this. When we go and talk to the customer, he comes with the billing saying that, okay, you are working only for this many hours, why should I pay you for the 80 hours? So those are the areas where the customer orientation team who knows this kind of engagement. So big giants, the big companies has the customer orientation team, but in the smaller firms or the mediocre firms, of course, the account owners or as well as the Scrum Masters or the PO from our side has to play that role as a value added service. Let them know why we need this kind of time for the meetings. So this was a way we have to stop the anti-pattern. Team leads play. So there is time getting committed by the team lead or the technical lead, and team is not focused. So and if we work with in this pattern, then we will have focus towards only the individual goal to be completed. We will not have focus towards the team collaborations. So the time when we start thinking on the product, eventually we will have all the anti-patterns out. The time we start thinking as a I shape skill sets, we will have the problem. So we should understand these areas. Last minute change. So this is a very diplomatic zone where we have to be very precautious. Yeah, of course, I will not say we should be very rigid, but yeah, we should not excuse every inputs, even if they're not meeting the DOR. So if a small thing meeting the DOR, and if we have the available capacity, then only we should get it in as an improvement. So these all are the recommended ways to make customers. So I, being a PO, always forecast after 2 or 3 sprints. Okay, how many stories come as a stories, and how many items come as as an improvement. So when I have a talk with my management and the stakeholders, I let them know, okay, you have to work in giving the clear cut information, else these things will always be there. Unfinished business case or the user story. So we have items unfinished from the previous sprint or the iteration, and it's getting into the new sprint, which will always increase the goal of the sprint or the iteration cycle. So we should also consider that. So many times we see that, okay, we are working with the available capacity, we are planning for the new sprint, and we are taking the previous one also. If we will keep this ongoing, so we will always be with the technical depth, we will always with the requirement depth. So we should not do that. Let's complete. So we can use the concept of the Kanban side: stop starting and start finishing. Until unless we will not finish, how we can start? So these are the ways we can manage things. Ignoring DOR, of course, we have discussed this. So the pattern, we have seen that team is not rejecting to the stories which are not meeting even to the DOR. We should do that. So it will help PO to work on his work properly. So we should say. So of course there is the politeness, humbleness is required when we say something no, but we should know how to say no here. Overcommitment we have already discussed. Irregular sprint length. So when we say, so when we have an irregular sprint length, so this will help us to understand the quality, the health of the product backlog. I'm not talking the quality, the health of the product backlog. So this time we are working for 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Suddenly we are working for 1 week. It means there is some problem from the backlog side. We do not have enough items to get completed. So there may be a reasons coming. Business does not give me the information. I don't have that much information available. So we should plan in a way that, that's why we should have at least n+2 as a sprint health, the backlog as a n+2 sprint health, but it should not be n+11 or n+12, which we have already discussed in our previous anti-pattern behavior. Forecast becomes the commitment. This is the highest anti-pattern available in our working engagements. If we are making a forecast, we will able to deliver this many items by that should not become as a commitment. So again, education is required for all the stakeholders here. What is the difference between estimation, forecast, and commitment? DOR as again, coming back again. So when we are forecasting, so commitment means, so none of the framework says that you have to complete in 8 hours only. So I'm not again advocating that we should work more than 8 hours or overstretching, but a commitment should be a commitment. If we want to make things good rolled out as assisted vendor partners for the customers, we should give time to get things completed rather than using the easiest way of the spillover. So rather than going on spillover, if by stretching 1 or 2 hours, sometimes, I'm not saying every time, but of course, if it is helping the business to go ahead, but it should not be incurring practice. So all designations should understand, okay, if we are contributing by understanding the business needs. So to not make it as a habit for every sprint. So these are the areas to be set with the right expectations. DOR as a approval stage gate. So many times we have seen and observed that when we are working, so a customer, rather than working with the wireframes, they want to see the prototype. So they want to see the color combinations, they want to see the front end, etc., etc. That becomes the DOR as approval gate. That should not happen. Work with the story, then allow your team to work on. Of course, we know we have to work with the wireframes, the small conceptual thoughts, but this all happens in the initial level, when we are starting from the scratch, when we are getting matured, and we are having enough control over the knowledge, the business knowledge and the technical knowledge. Then we should not keep this as approval gates. Let's keep the DOR with the defined set of the readiness required for each story. So these are the ways we can move ahead. So now we are reaching for the stand up. So no routine. So I have mentioned this, even the question is in PSM. Why we have the stand up at the same time and same place? To decrease the complexity. So of course, coming to the real world challenge, and the offices with the lesser conference room availability. Of course, these are the real time challenges, but we should figure out a place where we can have our stand up on a common time, and the defined allocation. People make it as a status reporting. People come and talk about the ticket IDs, what I'm doing, what I have worked. So they talk only about the IDs. So IDs make sense loss of the user story. Talk about the user stories, what you're working for. So when you talk about the story IDs, it means you are just talking about the number of items I'm working on. Let's talk about the contributions, what I'm working on. Okay, these are the things I have completed. These are the areas to be completed. These are the areas I'm planning to take ahead. For this, I need this information. This kind of talk we should have. Problem solving question triggered. Okay, so when we are having a stand up, so rather than giving value to listening to other people, and we start asking a problem solving question. So we should not do that. We should understand when we should ask these questions. So respect the meetings and respect the agenda. Any ceremony or meeting has its own agenda. We should understand and respect that. Becomes planning meeting. So so we say that we have to close it by 15 minutes max, and it goes to a 60 minutes, 30 minutes kind of talk. So we should not do that. It should not be a planning meeting. And there is a two respect. I have observed and experienced that ignorance. So when people done with their talk, and when other people are talking, so they ignore their talk. So these things we should ignore. Late in the stand up. So of course we should meet a common time to be in a stand up. Traffic is so let me correlate with our Bangalore. Traffic is um, okay, just a second. Naveen, there is a guy Sanit who got disconnected. He is trying to join again, and it's waiting for the host to let me in. So can you please make him? Yeah. Okay. So late in the stand up. So let's start with a common time, and the very good pattern I have seen that we have a meeting in the late evening before we leave. So we are working. If you are working in, again, it's a real time situation engagement. So if you're working in two different engagements, two different geographic time zones, then also we have to start in our morning time zone, because if we wait till evening, then what we are doing from, or the vice versa, then we should be smart enough and committed enough. I will use the term committed enough. If we are having our stand up in the evening with the customers, ideally we don't want to have the customer in the call, but if you want to have the customer with the call, then plan in a way that we should have our day starting from the evening, and again it's getting closing in the next evening, so that we can come and talk again. So we should not unnecessarily utilize the leeway of the difference, the time lag in the time zones. Formality. So team does not comes with the preparation. You have to pull people, you have to write in the chats, okay, can you come? No, it's my own duty, it's my own commitment to be in the session. Let's come there. Many times we have seen excessive feedback leads to sparking discussions. So don't give a lot of feedbacks in the sessions, in the stand up. Let's understand what is happening, what is not happening, why we are not able to do so, and let's not catch behind the hook. But if we being a transparent, if we are highlighting it, this is an impediment can be on a person, can be on a material, can be on a technical. But the acceptance, the only one area, the person is there who if I'm having an impediment on a person, then the person and the team should be enough smart to accept, okay, there is an impediment, rather than creating a sparking discussion. And please, and I have observed a lot of personal problems getting talk in the daily stand-up. Please do not do that. So you might be experiencing, or you might not be experiencing, but I am not able to complete this because this. No, this is just an excuse. If anything coming like this is an excuse. Commenting every issue. So if someone is stating his or her problem, do not comment on that. Listen, understand their problem also. If a person who is already in problem, if you go and comment, that will always lead to a sparkling discussion. That will always lead to a difference in the thought and the team commitment. Overcrowded. So if you're working with 2 or 3 teams, don't gather all 30 people and ask everyone to complete things in the 15 minutes. Or I have seen the pattern without naming the company and the project. These big giants, they are working and they are having daily stand-ups over the call, and spending around 2 hours times. So we should not do that. So if you have a dependency on the team, ideally the dependency on the team should not be there. But if it is there, highlight a person to come with those kind of dependency and talk. Do not waste the time of other team. So one team has completed completed their information passing, and they are waiting for next 1.5 hours to get things completed. We should not do that. Why you're wasting your 1.5 hours? And again, you will talk about the utilizations, resource percentage utilizations. We are not productive. We are not getting the good product output, and etc. Blah blah. So these are the areas where Scrum Masters, product owners, as well as the team should take initiatives, go and talk. So maybe the hierarchical chains will be there, but we should go and let them know why it is required, why it is not required, and how we are killing the time rather than slogging the time. Talking chickens. So I have used chickens. This is the word taken from the Google. So to showcase and turn down at the last moment. So we talk, everything is working perfect, we are doing everything is good, and when it goes to the last day or the last week, we say things are not working. So we should not do that. So again, here the concept comes as stop starting, start finishing. So do not hold the inventories with you. If you're holding the inventory with you, we are having an assumptions and expectations also that this guy is going to complete these 2 or 3 items. Do not showcase, work on the realistic data. Another thing I have missed in the sprint section, the daily burn down or the frequent burn down. So we focus on the burn down maybe after 6 days or 7 days kind of thing. No, we should not do that. Direct impact. So if we have the frequent burn down, you can have the frequent reviews. If we have the frequent burn down, the metrics will look healthier. So we should understand the healthier part of the metrics also. So if things getting completed on August 19th, why to wait for getting the burn down done on August 22? So we are delaying by the 3 days. So we should understand those questions also. Extending time box. So this is again the PSM question. So we should not extend the time box. Try to, and of course, initially 2 to 4 months will take time to understand team. to get to the point, to understand how is it happening. But yes, when they understand, so again I'm correlating it with the team dysfunctions pyramid, where we can say, okay, when you have the trust, so we know what to do, what not to do, and how to do, then we can figure out, okay, or how we can complete things on that limited time frame. Okay, Naveen, I'm getting option from the guy, I think Arvind. He's saying, Anubhav, can you please allow me to join the meeting? So can you please see that? He has WhatsApp me.
He has ordered.
Okay, thank you. So, and also many times we would have observed that people not offering help. Why we hesitate to offer help? So if a person is highlighting on daily stand-up, or whenever he's meeting on on a tea he smoke, or a lunch, whatever he's talking, when we talk about the product information, product talk, he's highlighting that problem. Offer help him or her to solve his problem, make him understand how to do so. But again, we should not lead this helping to again an anti-pattern, like a spoon feeding, that this person always come for help. So those things we should take care and assess the product growth. So now coming to the anti-pattern of the review, sprint review. So I am using the term selfish PO. So once things are getting delivered on time, things are moving smooth, the selfish PO is not even appreciating the team for their commitment and dedication that led the business growth, the product growth as well as the business growth. Delayed sprint got accepted. So again, this we have discussed previously, the sprint anti-pattern. Okay, if a sprint is getting delayed by 2 or 3 days, it's getting accepted. We should not do that. So these are the areas where we work for. Murder begins with the slide deck. This is the major area which I have discussed with many people working in the big firms. So I'm without naming the designations and all those. They want slide decks to be developed for making a sprint review. Why? Sprint review has to be for your working software, not for the slide decks. So the respective and the honorable, those guys, the designation people, they should also understand why you are wasting a time of the respective person on creating a slide deck. Rather than that, run the demo. Let and the stakeholders run it by themselves, if they know the business, the flows and everything, or the PO to run that. Why a team, only one team? So one team has to represent, one person has to represent. Let them work collaboratively, ask questions, what is happening, what is not happening. And also I've observed that people go and see, okay, what is written in the user story and what is it's getting delivered. 10 days is enough to understand what we have discussed. And again, this kind of things will happen when we work for a very larger size. When you work for small size, this kind of conflict will never be there. And if we are in a practice touch with the information what is available with us. Do not cheat, be transparent. So I'm using purposely the cheat, so the word here. Never say the unfinished items as a buggy. So I have experienced many times that with things which are not working or not developed, they are calling it as buggy. No, it's not buggy. Let's be clear how much we have completed, how much we have not completed. So again, till now we have discussed about the team dysfunction, the trust as a part for the team. So when we consider all the stakeholders, then there should be a trust should be there. Do not demo every task. So we should we should get the review and the demo done at the user story level, not at the every task level, what we have done, what we have not done. Many times we have figured out absent PO. So PO is not available, customer is there. So that creates a difference, because customer might not be aware of everything what is there in the sprint or the iterations, but they are there to honor the meeting and to understand what things are getting progress, because they are the sponsors or the payers for that. So the PO, it's the responsibility of the PO to be on the call to make the clarifications, the business clarifications, talks, etc. No stakeholders to review. So many times we figure out even PO is also not there, stakeholders are also not there. Then again we are leading to an anti-pattern of the assumptions. So we should have people. So we should let them know you have to be there. This is the accountability and responsibility from your side. We need the feedback, else how we will do so. So depends upon the application model, no customers or end users. So if we are working for the enterprise applications, so or any application, so let's say if it's an insurance application, let me correlate with that. So me being the end user or the customer, so I maybe we can get some customer. Again, it will be a very vague to say that, but of course we should have some shoes available with us who can work as a customer in the customer side, who can perform those kind of reviews as a being a customer, what I'm expecting, not as a business what I'm expecting, being a customer what I'm expecting, those kind of information, uh, those kind of things we should look for that. So unengaged or passive stakeholders. So we should engage our stakeholders also. Stakeholders are coming with a purpose to review the sprint or the iterations. So we should allow them also to have an hands-on. Can you please do this? But again, if it is not working, then we have to figure out why it is not working. Not starting on agreed and defined time. This is also one of the major thing happening. So everything should have respect. Every meeting should have a respect. So those things we have to look for. So again, I'll say this comes from the setting the right expectations. So many times we have seen this question, okay, what should be the agenda of the sprint review? Sprint review agenda will remain same always, but we should initiate a calendar invite. Maybe customer is busy in his engagement, maybe the time zone difference is there, but a calendar invite well placed in advance, not in the last moment. So this kind of work should be done by the PO or the accountable person who should do this kind of work to place the. So if we can plan for 2 weeks, we can plan for our sprint timing also, the sprint review also. But again, we say we don't want to do the sprint review on the 10th day because we are not completed. So if we work with the daily or the frequent burn downs, we will able. So three things I will say from the personal recommendation: frequent burn down, available capacity, and uh, frequent burn down, available capacity, and the pair programming will help us to get the time required for the sprint review. So these are the areas we should work for, and the parallel testing also. So when we talk, I have used the term parallel testing many times. So coming back to one of the example, we had the 5 different environments from. So we had dev, we have QA, then we have one end of, then we had UAT, then pre-prod, then production. Everything cannot be rolled to the production in every sprint. Question of the PSM also. But you should baseline your environment. But how? Let's say for our case, we have baseline the end of. Anything coming in end of should not have any bug. It took time, almost 3 to 4 months, to work on that pattern, to make team understand what is a parallel testing, why we do parallel testing, taking them out from the conventional approach to the agility approach, how faster we can help the developers to work, so how we can work on the collaboration model, so that we can, if we can save time on the test, identifying the manual bugs, we can work towards the automation. Those are the areas we should look for. Customer starts micromanaging. So this is also an area where we should be very preventive and precautious. So when customer starts micromanaging, so everything has the two faces of the coin. Why he is doing a micromanaging? First, the positive side. Second side, why he wants to do a micromanaging. So those kind of things. So that's why we have SM in place, PO in place. So those kind of things we should take care. So now we have the anti-pattern for the retrospective. So no retrospective. So this we have already discussed, that team believes nothing to improve. How we can say that nothing to improve? This is itself leading to an anti-pattern. So very rest retro. So we do not give time. So people try, if we are having a retrospective lesser than 1 hour or 45 minutes, it means we are giving a rush. If you have 9 people and people speaking 3 minutes for each, it means 27 minutes minimum required for them to talk. And then the consolidation, understanding, those all required almost 45 minutes to an hour to understand. Let's go with the data. So let's understand. We should not be rushed into, we should understand. And no accountability and ownership. So we should have the acceptance to say no and to accept no also. So those accountability and ownership is missing. So those has to be there. Again, this happening to the ecosystem, team dysfunctions. So those things are the areas where, of course, Scrum Master is working on that. The team is itself getting matured, and we are working on that. But if we see this is happening after a long term, maybe a year also, then there is a problem. There is a gap still persists. Less or no dedication in retro. Of course, people coming with so I request my team members not to come with the laptops, opening laptops and coding in the retrospective or working on the phones. So I'm not taking their independence out of them, but of course every meeting has some value, some respect that the meeting values, the ceremony values, respect the people who are there to work for. We do not welcome PO. So ideally we say it's a teamwork, and why we need a PO. Please do not forget the framework. The Scrum says Scrum team consists of a Scrum, the PO, SM, and the team. So please allow team. So there are the ways, like we have the radar matrix where we can talk about the sprint. You can define according to yourself the areas, the product vision, the sprint goal, the DOR, DOD, and other factors that comes for the radar matrix. I think 7 or 8 factors come for the radar matrix that we can define. We can have different charting techniques to work on that. Or if we are doing a retrospective, we can do on the open box game, where we can think, okay, what to get in the box, what to get out of the box, and what we have to recycle. Those kind of things we can do. Or we can, so I'm just sharing some of the games which I have I've taken for my team. So you can do uh, the hero, villain, and the problem solver kind of areas for the for your sprint retrospective. We can use how many goals we have made, how many goals we have missed, and what is the reason to miss the goals. So those kind of games we can do. We can go with them. So there are many games we can do and understand why retrospective really makes a sense. People thinks it's a waste of time. So this happened with me also. Many senior folks thought that it's a waste of time, why we want to waste, and that leads to leg pulling and bullying, which I think it's in the next slide. People join to showcase, not to collaborate. So again, this is leading from the dysfunction pyramid, as well as we are not socializing. So we should go and learn what is sociocracy, and ways to improvise self-learning oneself and the self-awareness. Can we have a cumulative retro? So of course, I have also heard many times, hey Anubhav, we have done a lot of things here and time is not permitting. Can we have the cumulative retro? So have 1+1 retro, means two retros session to be done in one sprint. We are fighting for 60 minutes, and how we can go and work for 120 minutes for the next session. So these are the areas we should not do that. No moms captured. Of course, we should capture the minutes of meetings also. So any session. So for daily stand-up, I would say we should not do that. But of course, if we are in distributive locations, And to keep the track what we have done, we can do, but again it depends upon the maturity and the common agreement of the team and the complete stakeholders. Ideally we should not do that in the daily stand up, but sprint retrospective should have a mom captured and to be here. So it should not be to play a blame game, but it should always be for an identification what we have agreed in the previous time, to make an understanding analysis for the next areas. Okay, I have missed one term called as requirement paralysis. So requirement paralysis is the area. So this we can take in our next session. So there is a graph that shows why we need a frequent burn down, why we need a frequent deployment, and why we need to do so to get out of the requirement paralysis. Requirement paralysis is nothing; it's a requirement defect. So I'm not talking about the user story defect. It's a requirement defect, and it happens many times. And how to manage this? Bullying and leg pulling, of course, this is the standard common behavior of our Asian context or Indian context, whatever the word we can use. But yeah, we should not bully and leg pulling. And there was a latest research. So I'm a little deviating from here. One topic, there was a latest research and figure out that agile will take time to get structured in Asian ecosystem where hierarchy plays a vital role. So of course we should respect the hierarchy, but we should not expect everything as a father figure. So of course we are having a gap in the age, in the seniority, but we should also respect the junior people also who are coming with the lesser experience, with the less age. No suitable venue available. So the same question, why we should have the same place available. So again, if we are having enough space for us, the conference for us, then it's better to have the advanced booking for at least for the sprint retrospective, sprint planning, and daily stand-up. These three should be blocked. These areas to be blocked so that we should not waste our time in searching of room. Some pattern we have seen. Okay, so I'm not highlighting it to the any senior folks, but yeah, someone from the other team or management is behind the moms. No, a sprint retrospective should inside the closed walls. It should not be the other team or the senior folks. This is what we have discussed among our 9 or 10, whatever the team member size is among us. It should not go out of that. We should respect the others' concerns also. A stakeholder raises concern saying we waste a lot of time in meetings. So this we have discussed. So we should go and let them know we are not wasting the time. We are utilizing the time to figure out. Of course, real-time engagements may differ, but we should know how to manage those areas. One of the so-called hero dominating. So I'm using the word hero. You can use whatever the word. So one of the so-called hero dominating the team, folks. We should not do that. If you are the smarter chap and you are assisting with the complete technical excellence, please do not dominate. Allow team to go. So let's talk about the Kanban as of now. So Kanban said, assist leadership at all levels, initiate leadership at all levels. So this is one of the leadership at your level. You are taking the accountability, assisting the team, grooming the team, making them more knowledgeable with the technical areas. So those things you can do here. No psychological safety. Yeah, of course, we should respect the psychological safety also, because in our, now I will use the term, Indian ecosystem, people plays with the emotional bonding. So we are more emotional, and when we grow in age, people become more emotional. So we should not work with the blame and finger pointing. Of course, there are many reasons like dysfunctions are here, trust is not there, acceptance is missing. So it's not only the person who is pointing the finger, he is also the person who is not accepting. So we have to work with the psychological safety, how to do, where the conflict resolution comes in place. But ASM should not invest all the time of the retrospective in doing the conflict resolution only. So let's team to also get mature, and we are getting mature, and will take some time to understand each and every things, to think out of the emotional bonding. Less and zero acceptance. So we have already discussed this. The time we will think as a product growth and the team as we will never have a problem until we will think as a me. So these are the areas we have discussed. So I think I'm good ahead. So this is, as usual, the concluding thought. If you think you can, then you can. So this is by the Stephen Richards. So yep. So I'm done with the webinar for today, and thanks again for everyone for coming on Saturday morning, spending time with us, and bearing me for the long sessions. So we have 15 minutes. If you want to interact something, we can interact. Naveen, am I audible?
Anubhav, thank you very much for the wonderful session. Hi, audience, the participants, as we have a 14 minutes from now. If you have any other questions, I think either feel free to type on a chat window. We'll try to address as much as possible. Uh,
Or you can or you, if you guys need some questions or you don't want to chat here, please drop in the WhatsApp, or you can drop in the meetup group, the meetup.com area. We will answer to those areas with our personal experiences and the learnings what we have here.
yeah. Anubhav, there is an interesting question. Sorry. Anubhav, there is an interesting question in the chat window.
Mm-hmm.
People are, one second, I'll just try to open the chat window. One second, I'm not able to open chat window here.
If we are done, then I can do my I can stop sharing my screen and I can see from here.
Yeah. So they are asking a question of how do you measure a requirement defects asked by Ajay.
Okay. Already we have so many questions away. Okay, so let me copy this first. Okay, so how do
Saki,
you
sound small.
requirement defect? Yeah, so good session. Of course, the share will be okay. Requirement defect. So okay, Ajay. So if you are on call, so what you are trying to ask from this question? So what we want to measure here? What kind of metrics should SM take care? Okay. Yes, I talked about the requirement paralysis. Yeah, so these are the jargon. So okay, let me give an example. The favorite example is the login. So if I'm having a requirement of login only with only only with my DB login, and if I'm coming as a requirement saying I want the social media login, then that is a requirement defect. One area. Second thing, requirement is not matching to the business need. That is also a context of not meeting to the requirement and is creating, okay, the question, it's creating to a requirement defect. So what is a defect? If you want to understand what is a defect, defect is a defect. Why we call it a defect? Defect is a term given when we are not meeting to the expected sets of the requirement. My expected set of requirement to complete needs a complete analysis, the ideation. If you remember, many people talk about the flow of the board. So we have the ideation, analysis, research, then we come to a common goal, what exactly the business need is about, and how then we go and set the priorities. How would you measure requirement defect data? Okay, so here I will not use a generic. So who is only responsible? Okay, how to measure the requirement effect data? Okay, so we can use here. if your if your user stories are meeting the business need, your sound is very low. Yeah, it can be due to the data connection. Okay, so because team knows what user stories they have implemented. Okay. Okay, see, if you will have this kind of one by one questions, I won't be able to answer, friend Nivedita as well as Arvind or Ajay, I think. I won't be able to answer in this way, so I will consolidate this and I will make a Google Doc and I will share with you guys. Okay, so I will take the copy paste of this all and I will consider and share with my experience and get a chance to learn from you guys also. Yeah, I will share the, okay, it's not getting copy pasted. Naveen, can you able to do the copy paste of this?
I'll try, Anubhav. I'm not sure how. We'll see.
No,
If I can able to, I'll do it.
no chat, I'm not able to do from my side.
Okay, maybe I think the post this call, I think we can see all the questions and consolidate. We can write an answer and publish in a talk.
Yes, yes. Who is responsible in maintaining? So the main question is towards who is responsible in maintaining burn up, burn down, velocity charts, and the question is the requirement defect. Okay. So these are the three main questions we have. So okay, no problem. Give me some time. I will be back from Chennai and work for this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not getting the
So
save chats. It's saying to save chat. I'm
yeah,
not.
no problem, Anubhav. I think we'll see if we can consolidate the questions after this session. So
Yeah.
if you do not have, maybe we can close the call. Is that fine?
Yeah. So if we are done, so thanks again to everyone for their time and spending 2 hours. 2 hours, of course, requires a great patience to work with. So thank you so much again, and have a weekend, a happy weekend to everyone, and a family time to everyone. And for bachelors,
Yes.
please enjoy your personal time, working, educating, drinking, whatever you guys want to do. So please, thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks, Anubhav. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone.